don't have any regular presentation material. I personally am not an expert in composites. So after having heard two experts, one in fiber reinforced composites, another on the metal matrix component composites, all that I can present is my association with certain aerospace projects in which composites were extensively used. I worked in ISRO earlier, where composites were used for making motor cases for the upper stages in order to decrease the weight. Then I worked in the Aeronautical Development Agency, where, as Shamrao already mentioned, about 45% of the structure was made out of carbon fiber composites, and NAL played a major role in that. Then I worked in NAL, where an all-composite aircraft Hansa was built, and we also have been using composites in the 14-seat passenger aircraft Saras. Let me just take the first example, Hansa. Everything was fine. We did all the design. There was a certification requirement that the total weight of the aircraft, including the pilot, all the equipment, the structure, etc., should not exceed 750 kg. In that, a certain apportionment was made for the structure, and we went through all the designs, and the designer assured that the structure will be within that limit, the structural weight will be within that limit. But when actually made the component, that is the fuselage, the wing, the empennage, etc., it was about 30 to 40% higher. And the aircraft was not fit for certification. I am just pointing it out just to sort of highlight what Dr. Dwarkadas has said. When it comes to practical applications, we have to think of many other factors also. It so happened it was a hand layup process, and the people who did the layup, they were very lenient with the resin. So the weight kept on building up, and when you had to build the Mark II or the second prototype, extreme care was taken. The process control, the quality control, etc. And the machine shop people were not allowed to use even 1 gram of excess resin. So these kinds of problems we really have to handle, and this comes only through practical experience, building more and more products, more and more structures. That is one issue. And one of the very important advantages of composites, as all of you are aware, is the number of parts reduced drastically. That is where the co-cured, co-bonded composite structures have been used in LCA, developed at NAL, and that has sort of sorted out many sort of fastening problems, attachment problems, etc. So this is one more area where a lot more importance needs to be given. All the benefits and advantages you in the composites community are very well aware. But we also have to look at some of the problems that we face. Recently I did some study for a couple of months and the fire safety issues when composites are used in civilian aircraft. As you are aware, the Boeing 787, the Dreamliner aircraft, has for the first time used the composites for the cabin in which the passengers travel. There has been a controversy and many people have pointed out what really happens when there is an accident and there is a fire. And there are very strong critics of use of composites for the cabin who pointed out it will become very, very toxic. For example, holes will get punctured in the fuselage walls, and if the wing is burning, all those toxic fumes will get into the fuselage, and you do not have time for the people to escape from the cabin. So some of these issues require a much greater amount of research. The second issue is the hidden damage. For example, this is well known, if a person is working on an aircraft wing, he drops the tube and we really do not know what has happened inside. So those things also need attention. Disposal of waste material. And inspection and certification issues, as I already mentioned with regard to ANSA, with regard to any composite product where certification is a main issue, whether it is a naval application or an aerospace application, I think lots of awareness needs to be built in the certification agencies themselves for them to certify a product. These are some of the practical difficulties one faces while using composites, but certainly they can be tackled, they can be addressed. The future of composites may not be very bright if we sort of only apply them to high-tech applications like the aerospace or the marine applications. They must get into more mundane applications. Automobile, if they get into the automobile applications, the question immediately comes up, what happens if there is an accident, if there is a damage, if you bump into another car? How are you going to repair that? It's going to be very expensive. So as far as the metal cars are concerned, every street corner has somebody who can attend to that problem. Not so for the composites. Another issue again for aerospace application is the lightning protection. So special devices need to be incorporated into the structure for lightning protection of composite aircraft. So that adds complexity and weight. So these are some of the issues that need to be tackled. So all that I am trying to point out is, we are all very well aware of the advantages, the weight advantages, the property advantages, the directional properties, etc. of composites. But there are many issues that still need to be tackled. And this is possible only if very active research groups are developed in the universities, in the labs, etc. to address these problems. So I congratulate the organizers of this Congress for having organized a session on composites. Composites is a wide area, lots of people are working, lots of industrial applications. It has relevance, some already in a very active mode, some potential and in a submerged mode. So we'll have to sort of lift them up and use composites in those areas also. But I think let us not assume that the field of composites is a closed one. There are still many open issues. I am quite sure an enlightened audience like this will appreciate that and will get into these issues. Thank you very much.